right, welcome back to another episode of the Carter Cast. I'm your host, Carter Bond. With me, as always, is Connor Sparrow. We're back. We're back to talk about the NBA. We haven't done a post-trade deadline pod. You know, we're not going to go through every single trade like every other podcast and everything you've listened to. Not going to go through. We're just going to hit the big storylines, go through, and then we're also going to talk some college basketball at the end. I have one of my favorite futures in college basketball of all time. I'm so excited to spew out my futures in college basketball. But we'll do that at the end. Let's start off right away. First off, how are you?
Doing good, man. Excited for the NBA to come back. Been watching some basketball. You know, with the Super Bowl being over, some of us raked in some serious profit from the Super Bowl. It's going to be good to blow it all in March Madness. So I'm excited for that, even though my beloved Heels might not be there, but still excited.
Yeah, we'll talk college basketball at the end, but let's start this off. Kevin Durant is a Phoenix Sun. I think it came out at like 2 a.m. Eastern, like midnight Mountain Time, whatever. The trade is the Suns get Kevin Durant and T.J. Warren, which great piece to get in this trade. T.J. Warren, Kevin Durant, when Kevin Durant has to load manage in April. The Nets get Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, some other dude I'm not even trying to pronounce, a 2023 first, a 2025 first, a 2027 first, a 2028 pick swap, 2028 second, 2029 first, a 2029 second. And then the Bucks get Jay Crowder, Pacers receive George Hill, Serge Ibaka, Jordan Nwora, 3 future second-round picks, and some cash. First off, the Pacers end. That's the most Pacers trade I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, getting back George Hill and Serge Ibaka for, like, okay, I get it if you're like six in the conference and you're making a little playoff push and you want some veteran presence. What are they getting those players for? To finish 12th?
Yeah,
I don't know about that
part. The Suns have Kevin Durant. Like, I don't even know what. I'll just let you go off of that. Suns have Kevin Durant. This is crazy.
Yeah, this is. I woke up to this news the next morning. This is something I expected to happen maybe over the summer. I didn't know if it'd necessarily be the Suns. I know he was linked to the Suns the first time he requested a trade this past summer. This is not something I thought would get done before the deadline because the Kyrie news kind of came out pretty quickly as the deadline was approaching. He got moved a few days before the Thursday, and I didn't think there was enough time to find a reasonable deal for Kevin Durant because I was like, there's no way the Nets are going to find a suitor for Kevin Durant and get back all what they want within, 3 days, I think, since Kyrie got traded. I was shocked. But from a Nets perspective, so 2 things here. From a Nets perspective, they got a pretty decent haul back. It was 4 first-round picks, a couple swaps, Mikal Bridges, who is going to be a really nice player, and Cam Johnson, who's going to be a really nice player for a long time. But if you're the Suns, you had to go for it. New owner, Matt Ishbia, you have to swing for it because Chris Paul's, 36? He's only got a couple years left. DeAndre Ayton was clearly unhappy, the whole signing with the Pacers, bringing him back. There was some little ruffling of the feathers there. You had to go for it because this is what they need to do. Take a swing right now while they still have Chris Paul playing at a pretty decent level. He's not what he was, but this is the time. They have a 2 to 3 year window right now to go for it. And if I'm them, I'm taking that swing too. I know Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson were great pieces, but it's Kevin Durant. There's times when he's the best player in the league.
It's Kevin Durant. That's all you have to say. You have to go for it if you're Phoenix. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But I will say this. Now that the Suns have landed Kevin Durant and going into this playoffs, if he's healthy, there are 0 excuses for Chris Paul now. There are 0 excuses. If he can't win one in Phoenix now with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton, there are no excuses for Chris Paul.
I completely agree. This is his best chance to get a ring. And like I said, there's maybe a 2-year window. I would say maybe even just a 2-year window for Chris Paul.
I don't. It might only be 1. I mean, he is falling off hard.
Yeah, he is, but he's getting older. He's getting up there. What can you say? I mean, he's always going to be able to pass the ball like that, but you can't ask him to go out there and play 33, 34 minutes a night. Probably after next year. I mean, seriously. But this is what they had to do, Carter. So I think Durant's healthy. If they all stay healthy, they have to be the favorites. Now, we haven't seen them play a game together yet, and they only have 20 games to get it together. But Durant is one of those superstars that you saw it with Golden State. He can just slide right in. He doesn't have to have like a commanding presence immediately. He'll get what you need him to do done. He'll get the ball, run the sets. It won't take away from what the other guys do. And I don't think there's many superstars you can say that about.
Yeah, and also kind of going off the trade package of it all, this just makes the Rudy Gobert trade every blockbuster trade for the rest of time. We're just going to look back and be like, oh, well, imagine doing that Rudy Gobert trade. Like, The Timberwolves were pretending like they were going to go for it, and they went after Rudy Gobert. The Phoenix Suns, like, I respect it. Like, new ownership comes in. Every single time new ownership comes in, we know that they're going to make some big splash. They want their name in the headlines immediately. They want to. They want to be involved in the action. And credit to the Suns, like, yeah, they're mortgaging their future a little bit, but worth it. I mean, this gives you the absolute best chance to win a title in a wide-open Western Conference. You've got some awesome pieces, and, I mean, they should easily be the favorite. There shouldn't be anybody even close to them. They have Kevin freaking Durant.
I would argue, so they gave away all those picks, yes. I would argue it wasn't necessarily mortgaging their future. Let's say they win this year or win next year, or they consistently make the finals for the next couple of years. You're setting up that winning culture. Devin Booker's still really young. DeAndre Ayton's still really young. You're telling me people won't want to come play in Phoenix? Like, yeah, I know Durant's getting older. Chris Paul will probably be gone. But people will want to come play with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, especially if they've won a championship or two.
Yes, but let's say they don't. Let's say they meet the Celtics in the finals. Celtics beat them in the finals, and then they flame out the following year. Then it gets really bad because then, teams are going to want Devin Booker, and then you're going to end up having to trade Devin Booker, kind of being in the same scenario the Nets were in, where you're like, okay, this thing's rode its ship. We got to send him off. Yeah. We got to recoup some of these picks so we can prepare for the next 10 years.
The thing with Devin Booker is, I don't want to speak too soon because superstar situations are so volatile. It doesn't seem like he'll leave Phoenix, at least anytime soon. It seems like he loves it there. But you're right.
You never know.
The thing is,
losing will do crazy things.
He went through those first few years, though, so he can maybe go through anything. But nobody's going to fault the Suns for taking a swing like this. I don't think anybody can fault them. And they have to be the odds-on favorite. I mean, if I was gun to my head taking a finals pick right now, I think I might have to take them just because I've seen Durant slide into a system like this where stars already were and just make it that much better.
And the crazy thing is, I'll say this too. I don't think Chris Paul being healthy should 100% matter as much. I think that core of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant alone in the playoffs, when you have those two guys who can go out and get a bucket, you say you give them the ball and they can get a bucket. No matter who's guarding them, no matter what the situation is in the game, they can get a bucket. That matters a lot more. Chris Paul, yeah, you need a good point guard. I know that's going to be the detriment to them if he's unhealthy, but I still think they can win it even if Chris Paul's not 100%.
And here's the thing. In the playoffs, you don't think if they play the Mavs that Luka's going to hunt Chris Paul in every pick and roll, every ball screen, every switch. Chris Paul does not have the lateral quickness he used to have. You don't think he's going to get hunted every single possession in a Western Conference Finals series in Game 4? Like, once they figure it out, they're like, oh, man, Chris Paul really can't keep up with this guy. Then what? They might have to take him out for long stretches of time. You never know.
But, yeah, no, it's I mean, if you're a Phoenix fan, how awesome is this?
Oh,
this is what you dream of.
You're thrilled. You're thrilled. Well, I guarantee, if I was a Phoenix fan after they lost that finals to the Bucks, being up 2-0, I would have thought that was it. I was like, oh, the window's closed. That's all. And
that's the thing. They had to do this because, let's say they don't do this. They had no chance of winning the finals this year with the roster they had without Kevin Durant. That's just how it was. Like, we know the West is wide open. You would take 6 other teams probably to make it to the finals over the Suns. Like, even this awful ailing Warriors team, this dysfunctional Warriors season, you would almost put them on par with the Suns right now, even though their record's a little better. But once it comes playoff time, you never know.
Yeah. Would you take the Timberwolves over the Suns with Rudy Gobert, superstar?
We were talking about it before the podcast. I like Mike Conley. I like that trade.
Let me say real quick.
What?
Yeah. So we talked about the Durant trade, and we mentioned the Gobert trade. I'm glad that teams didn't take the Gobert trade as like par for the course. I'm glad because then it would have made a Kevin Durant trade impossible. It would have made trades for players higher caliber than Rudy Gobert impossible because teams would have wanted 7 first-round picks, 2 swaps, and 3 guys under 25. Thank God they didn't take the Gobert trade. It's like, oh, this is how it's going to be now. This is the bar. It seems like a one-off, like, worst trade in NBA history type of deal. Thank God, because we would have never seen a Durant trade.
Yeah. Anything else on the Durant trade?
I'm just excited to see when he comes back. I'm just excited to see them play together because you'll know. I feel like you'll know. I think he'll seamlessly slide in. I really do, but we'll see.
I think Kevin Durant can seamlessly slide into any situation and be great in the NBA. Like him more so than any other player, other than maybe when LeBron James a couple years ago. Not LeBron James now.
Even then, I still think Durant. Even then, because LeBron demands the ball at all times.
Yeah, but LeBron single-handedly can just take you to a finals.
That's true.
So, I mean, that's just what it was. Not my goat, though. Not my goat. Moving on real quick, Westbrook gets bought out by the Jazz. He's now a Clipper. I'll be honest, I don't think this really does anything.
I've got a take on this. When he was on the Lakers, he was making $47 million a year. So you're looking at that contract. You can't ignore that. So you're expecting a guy making almost $50 million to be that number 1 or 2 option, to put up crazy numbers, to be one of the guys to take your team to a winning record, take your team to a deep playoff run. He wasn't that guy. He's not that guy anymore. He's not the same guy he was when he signed the contract even. So that's why it was hard to ignore for Lakers fans. Here's the thing. The Jazz bought him out. The Clippers are signing him, obviously not for $47 million. He's going to be making a lot less. If he could just embrace that role of either being the energy guy, if they start him, then sure, but like being that energy guy off the bench, leading the second unit, if he can embrace that role, I think he could help them, or even a starting role. But his mindset has to change. He still thinks he's the number 1 option. I know he does. He still thinks he's a number 1 option on a good team. And I hate to say it, he's just not. He can be a good player. He can be a great contributing player to a winning team. I really do think so. But he has to change his mindset and kind of, this is cliche, but like buy in.
Yeah, no, I 100%. That's what I was going to say. He can be a cancer to them, or he can help them, but I see it more leaning towards a cancer. Like, you put these 3 guys together, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook, that doesn't mix well. That's not going to mix well. And the other thing is that people aren't realizing is that taking Terrence Mann out of the lineup for Russell Westbrook is a bad idea. Terrence Mann is a lot more influential and more important to what the Clippers are trying to do than Russell Westbrook is. I think Russell Westbrook has to come off the bench again in LA for the Clippers if he wants to make a good impact. I think that's the best place for him.
I mean, I think in the long term it would be. There were reports saying that eventually they plan to start him, and in my mind I'm like, well, didn't they just do this? Didn't they just get a washed-up all-star point guard who can't shoot in John Wall and then trade him halfway through his first season? They just did this. I know Westbrook's like a little bit of a step up from John Wall. Same principle, though. Mm-hmm. Pacey guy who can't – Pacey guy, I've been playing FIFA. Fast guy who can't shoot, runs the break really well, but like has that mindset of like, screw it, I can take you off the dribble whenever I want to, and he can't. And he can't space the floor. They just did this. So I don't know the reasoning behind this. Maybe we'll eat our words and they make a deep playoff run, but I don't see him playing more than 25 minutes a game for them in the playoffs, if that.
I think he will, because there had to have been a deal where he says, if I'm going to the Clippers, I get to start and I get to play X amount of minutes, because I don't think he goes to the Clippers taking a bench role. There's no way. There's no way.
Paul George vouched for him. Paul George vouched for him. Yeah, that's exactly what it was back from the OKC days. And that didn't work out either.
Yeah, no, and people are like hammering the Clippers to win the title right now. I think they're like plus 1,000 to win it or whatever. I don't know how on earth you can trust this team. Like, the names look good on paper, but come a playoff series and a health bet, why would you take the Clippers?
Man, if this was a team back in 2015, 2017, whew. But 2023, you just can't trust them. Kawhi hadn't been able to stay healthy. Paul George has been in and out. Russell Westbrook, we saw what he did with the Lakers. There's just too many variables. There really is too many variables. And I like what they did at the deadline, but like losing Luke Kennard was a big piece. I think Eric Gordon's a great pickup. I think Bones Highland is kind of like a very hit or miss guy. Like, he can either help you a lot or hurt you a lot. There's not much in between.
Yeah,
and then Plumlee, I think Plumlee's a good pickup.
Yeah, Plumlee's a good pickup, but Bones Highland could be a heat check guy for him if that's kind of what they needed off the bench. And you want that in the playoffs. Bones Highland could go off for 21 points randomly in a playoff game. Or he could hurt you, and kind of like, 4 years ago, Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. I think the Clippers did a decent job of because they had 11, 12 guys that really should have been in the rotation before the deadline. They consolidated a little bit, but losing Reggie Jackson, I feel like, was really, you're going to lose Reggie Jackson for what? To get Russell Westbrook? Really? Ugh. I know they got Plumlee out of that deal, but I don't know.
Moving back, or talking about another buyout guy, Kevin Love. Kevin Love going to the Heat was kind of weird. And I'll touch on this real quick about Kevin Love, is that I wanted him to go to Golden State so bad. There was one.
Oh, that'd have been so much fun.
There was one aggregated tweet where it was like, "Watch out, Kevin Love to Golden State" or whatever. I wanted that so bad, because every single time I watch any single player in the NBA, I'm like, oh, how good would he be on Golden State? Every single player hits their max potential on that Golden State roster. It's kind of like the Spurs.
Unless your name's James Wiseman.
Yeah, exactly. But it's kind of like the Spurs back, like when the Spurs were at their peak. If a player wasn't playing well in San Antonio, he wasn't going to play well anywhere else. It was kind of like your last hope. And also, like, kind of in football, a little bit like the Patriots model, too.
Yeah. And you saw what happened with the Spurs. I mean, they got guys like Boris Diaw, Gary Neal, Tiago Splitter. Like, all these guys
Jackson
were playing.
Was balling for them.
They were playing, like, major roles on deep playoff runs, and they would not have done that on other teams. Yeah, the Kevin Love thing, if you're the Cavs, I know he'd kind of fallen out of the rotation. He got hurt. He was playing well at the beginning of the year, and now you're losing him to a team you could see in the playoffs. Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking is, I know you can't, like, if you're buying a guy out, I know they did the right thing. He's been with the organization for so many years, but that really sucks for him to go to, like, a conference rival like that, like a team you might see in the playoffs, because he's going to play a major role for the Heat.
Another place I really wanted to see him go was Dallas. I think it would have been awesome seeing him in Dallas with Luka, Kyrie. And,
that'd be cool.
I think that would have been such a great spot for him. But yeah, I wanted to see him go to the Western Conference. Like the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are going to be annoying to play against in the first round of the playoffs. But you're not worried about the Miami Heat winning the finals. They're just going to be a team you want to avoid in the first round. But the second round, you're like, we'll beat these guys.
The thing with Kevin Love is, though, he's never been known for his stellar defense, other than that one Curry possession in the finals. But he's never been known for his stellar defense. The Heat are so good defensively that it's not going to hurt them. If he went somewhere like Dallas, Dallas would really – they already give up Finney-Smith and a lot of these guys in the Kyrie trade. Having Luka, Kyrie, and Kevin Love on the court at the same time, that's three guys that can't really defend. So that would have been pretty interesting. But I don't know. I think he'll fit in with the Heat. It'll be interesting to see.
Next thing I want to hit on, Zion. I don't know if we'll ever see Zion again.
Ring the alarm bell, dude. It's time. The alarm bells are going off.
Yeah, it's I was listening. I don't know if you listened to Russillo and Simmons on Sunday or whatever, but I'll just copy exactly what Russillo said. This is the last chance for Zion. After this, if there's a weird little toe injury that he misses 4 months for, it's over. It's over. Like, it's reached its point of no coming back, where we've had as much patience as we can trying to get him in games, trying to wait for him to be healthy. At some point, you got to play games.
The thing is, that's true, and I agree. The thing is, there's never going to be a shortage of teams willing to take a risk on him.
Oh, my gosh, I would do anything for the Hornets to take a risk on him.
Yeah, exactly. So even if he's hurt, he's on that massive contract right now, there's still going to be teams that are like, man, when this guy played, he was a literal all-star starter, 28 a game, you know? He's been so good when he's been able to play, but their ability is such an underrated part of being in the NBA and being a superstar. I'm not saying you have to give up on him, but man, if you're the Pelicans, you got to be kind of like side-eyeing him a little bit, like, really? Like, again?
Oh, no, not side-eyeing. You're just like, what the hell is going on? Like,
taking him by the shoulders.
You just signed this. I mean, he just signed this massive extension. He's got to play basketball. And when this Pelicans team is healthy, they've got to do something about the CJ McCollum thing. And eventually they need to get a real point guard, but that's kind of secondary right now. If this team is healthy and they play multiple games together, they close the season well, they're going to be a very hard out in the playoffs.
And we saw him last year. The only worry I have, so we talked about Durant seamlessly sliding into any situation. We really, really have not seen CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Zion all play together for an extended period of time. What if it doesn't work? There's a good chance Zion comes back and goes insane in the playoffs, and we all eat our words, then sure, fine. But we haven't seen this team work together really. Zion's played really well when Ingram's been out, and the run last year they had was without Zion. What if it doesn't work?
But if Zion's healthy, it's a top 5 guy for me who I want in the playoffs, because you kind of want to. We
haven't seen him in the playoffs, though. We haven't seen him in the playoffs.
And I'm not worried about that, because he's so physically imposing in the playoffs, and that matters so much in the playoffs. Like, you can get cold in the playoffs, but Zion's still going to score. He's still going to shoot 70% from the field and score 25 and 10 in the playoffs. Like, that's just what it's going to be no matter what. I don't think the playoffs dictate or change his game whatsoever. He's so hard to guard and so explosive. It's just he can't stay healthy. And if they're in the playoffs, I would throw a sprinkle on them to win the West if they're healthy.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. He's just a matchup nightmare because if you think about the West, who's really going to guard him? He's too quick for like a DeAndre Ayton or a Jokic to guard him. Yeah, I mean, Draymond, I guess, like an Aaron Gordon would have trouble with him, though. He's too small. The thing is, he's too quick for these bigger guys, and he's too strong for the smaller guys, like the face-up fours that guard him. So it's a matchup nightmare. I don't know. It would be interesting to see how they used him in the playoffs, if they would play him with Valanciunas a lot. I feel like at the end of games, it would be more of like a Zion playing the small ball 5 kind of thing. It would have to be. Kind of like the Warriors do with Draymond.
All right, enough about Zion. Let's talk about the second half of the NBA season. It's kind of like the last quarter-ish of the NBA season, like a third or whatever. Anyhow, after the All-Star break, we usually see one team that gets hot right after the All-Star break, kind of rolls in, wins a ton of games in a row, and now they're all of a sudden like second or third in the conference, or they were like dead in the water, and now they're in the playoff race. Who is going to be your second half surprise going into this second half of the NBA season?
I've got a sleeper for you that I think is going to really win some games this last third of the year and make their way into the playoffs. How about Oklahoma City? How about Oklahoma City Thunder, Carter? They are currently sitting at 10th in the West right now. They're 28 and 29, but the second place team is Memphis with 35, and then the Kings with 32 wins. They're literally 4 games out of the third place. You're telling me they can't go on a little run here? They've been playing so well lately, and I'll eat my words on the LaMelo Shea thing we did that went viral on TikTok. Man, is he good, and man, is he fun to watch. They're legitimately winning games. So that's my sleeper team. I think they could easily sneak into the top 6 and avoid the play-in tournament. If they go, 13-7 in their last 20, I think that's good enough for the 6th seed. What do you think?
I don't hate that because this is going to be the first year we actually get to see Shea Gilgeous not get sat for the last 15 games. I think.
Ding, ding, ding. Yep.
I don't hate that at all, but.
I mean, I don't think they're going to make any noise in the playoffs necessarily,
No,
but I do think they'll make it.
If you're in the first round of the playoffs and you're one of the top, 3 seeds or whatever, you're excited to play Oklahoma City.
Oh yeah, it's a 4-1 series if Oklahoma City gets in the playoffs, and we all know that. But I still think they're going to make a run because everybody had them bottom of the league again this year. They've really surprised some people. Do you have one in mind?
This one, I have no statistical backing on it at all. And I would never in my life bet real money on this team to do anything. I hate this team, but confidence, players buying in matters so much in this league. And the news came out today that Nate McMillan, Nate McMillan is out in Atlanta. They're going to bring in whoever Trae Young and them want in Atlanta. Atlanta's going to go off for like 10 straight wins or whatever. They're going to roll in the second half of the season and lose in the first round of the playoffs. But I think this after the All-Star break, after getting a new coach, they're going to buy in and they're going to ball out. They have some dudes on that Atlanta roster. They don't play well together and since Nate McMillan's been there this season. But when these guys all buy in and they start playing well together, Trae starts passing the ball more. These guys, they're going to win like 8 games in a row randomly, and you're gonna get that notification on Bleacher Report, and then you're gonna look at the NBA standings one morning when you're sitting on the toilet, and you're like, "What the crap? Like the Hawks are 5th? I thought they were like 9th."
What do you mean Trae Young's averaging 35 and 15 over the last 2 weeks?
Kind of like remember DeMar DeRozan last year. DeMar DeRozan randomly started playing like Wilt Chamberlain. We're just gonna see that Trae Young stat this year, where Trae Young he's averaging 35 and 12 in his last 8 games or whatever.
Yeah. And the Hawks, I've heard a couple people talk about this on different podcasts. I saw it on Twitter one time. The Hawks starting 5 as a 5-man lineup is like top 3 in the league for any 5-man lineup. The lineup of Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Clint Capella, that lineup's like one of the most efficient lineups in the league, and I never would have guessed that. So come playoff time, if those guys are playing 35, 40 minutes together and they, like you said, buy in, they've got a couple dudes off the bench. If Bogdanovich gets hot, Okongwu is a great piece off the bench. They've got some guys. They could give a team some trouble.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is I know Trae Young's like one of the worst defenders in the league, but defensively, if these guys buy in, that's one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Like, player by player, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Ayton, Clint Capella, you could not get much better players than your starting 5 defensively unless you're the Brooklyn Nets, who have the best defensive wings in the league for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. I think you're right. I mean, the East is pretty jam-packed together, too. Not as much as the West, but the Hawks could get in. If the Hawks get in the play-in tournament, I see them getting in the actual playoffs. I see them winning a game or 2.
Because one of these teams is going to fall. I mean, I think the Nets are going to end up in a play-in spot.
They're 2 games above 500, dude.
Yeah, but the thing is the Heat are in a play-in spot right now, and they're only 2 games back.
Yeah, it's true.
And then I also think that the Knicks might fall off a little bit. One of those 2 teams between Brooklyn or New York is going to fall off a little bit, going to that play-in spot. I think Miami jumps up there too.
Yeah.
But also, Philadelphia's not going to be a play-in team, but they're going to drop some games here too because, one, I don't know. One, you got to watch out for Embiid's health, but 2, they do have the toughest schedule going closing the end of the season.
They do. They do have the toughest schedule right now, but you talk about Atlanta. Atlanta's got the 3rd toughest schedule.
Yeah, but man, the NBA, we saw what happened. Steve Nash gets fired. Jacques Vaughn comes in. It doesn't matter who the coach is. It truly does not matter who the coach is. It's just whether they like the guy and they're willing to buy into what he says. Then they're like, okay, yeah, cool. Steve Nash leaves. Jacques Vaughn comes in. All of a sudden, Kyrie and Kevin Durant can play together, and they're never getting hurt. They're not load managing. They're just playing great together, and they're winning a bunch of games.
I don't know how much stock you want to put into this, but LA Clippers, 2nd toughest schedule left. Phoenix Suns, 6th toughest schedule left. Dallas Mavericks, easiest schedule left. New Orleans, 3rd easiest schedule left.
So
just saying.
The Pelicans, they just have to get healthy. If they get healthy, I'm not discounting the Pelicans could make a nice run here in the second half of the season. Dallas is going to be great in the second half of the season just because Kyrie is bought in momentarily. Yeah. It's just a ticking time bomb when he erupts and decides that he's going to play in the XFL all of a sudden.
They have to pray that there's no real adversity in the playoffs. Like, what if they go down? What if they're up 2-1 and then something happens, somebody says something, or Kyrie just posts something on his Instagram story and just implodes the whole series? Oh, my God.
It's a ticking time bomb. I don't know if it makes it through the whole season with Kyrie Irving. Let's see here. That's kind of it for second half surprises for me, really. Like, I'm sure Boston's going to continue to do well. I'm sure that the Bucks are going to win games, even though guys are in and out of the lineup. I am a little worried about Milwaukee, though.
Yeah, we can touch on this real quick. Chris Middleton is yet to come back as himself. Like, he has not played himself. I don't think he's played over 25 minutes yet in a game since he's been back. Although Drew Holiday's taken a step up this year. Drew Holiday is cooking guys and locking up on defense. Like that, he ripped Derek White the other night just at the end of the game. I don't know. I'm not too worried about the Bucks. They've got guys around them who are experienced, like the Lopez's, the Pat Connaughtons, even the Grayson Allens. They've got guys with experience. And I think Chris Middleton will round in the form. I think that team knows each other well enough. They've been through enough playoff games together. I'm not too worried about them.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about them either, but the injuries are.
It's something to put a little star beside it. It's something to peek at every now and then.
I've put it in the tickler file for sure.
Yeah.
I promised the people we wouldn't do this continuously, but we have to.
We have to.
Quick Hornets minute. I'm going to start the clock. We hit 60 seconds. 60 seconds. Nope.
Oh.
60 seconds. I'm going to start a timer right now. We get 60 seconds to talk about the Hornets starting now. All right, the Charlotte Hornets. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
I thought they could have gotten more for Jalen McDaniels. If they really want to trade him for that little, why not just re-sign him? They traded him for more second-round picks just to try to get another Jalen McDaniels. Give me a break. They could have paid him not that much money.
Also, I don't know why we didn't go after Matisse Thybulle. Why not just do Matisse Thybulle for Jalen McDaniels straight up? He's a decent piece. He could turn in well. He could turn out very well. Hornets need defense. Also, play the young guys. We don't have good enough young guys to what really matters to develop. Like Bryce McGowan's is a poor man's Devontae Graham in my eyes. Is he actually going to pan out to anything?
I don't know. And plus, the Plumlee trade, I know we got Reggie Jackson, bought him out instantly, got a second-round pick. I'm glad about that because they're giving starting minutes to Mark Williams and backup minutes to Nick Richards. Plumlee was never going to re-sign. That was a good move.
Also, I want Gordon Hayward off this team immediately. And James Bouknight, I don't even know. I don't know about him. He's done.
Bench LaMelo. Don't let LaMelo play a minute the rest of the year. Tank for Wembanyama. We're coming back.
And that was the Hornets minute. That was nice. Right on the money.
Yeah,
right on the money. 60 seconds. But all right, do you want to transition to college basketball real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, real quick on college basketball. Do we want to start off talking about the futures, or do you want to talk about Carolina and all that?
Oh, I've got the hat on. Let's just get right into it. They're god awful. It's honestly unbelievable. Coming into the year, who would have thought they're going to be the only preseason number 1 team to miss the tournament? Are you kidding me?
People give him crap all the time, but shout out Marty Mush at Barstool. He called it.
That was a shot in the dark. He would have said that any year. He just hates UNC. Give me a break.
He called it. I give
my
where
God.
credit's due. If I said that, I would want the credit. So I'm going to give the credit.
I'm not giving any credit. That dude's whatever. We don't have to go into that. That was a shot in the dark. Whatever, though. I got to say, watching the NC State game, though, frustrating. Carolina had chances to extend the lead to 6-7 points. They kept turning it over and giving up easy buckets. They didn't blow it, but they could have extended the lead. And then once it was tied with 4 minutes left, State goes on this insane run. That was it. And that might have been the season. That legitimately might have been the season. That was one of Carolina's best chances to win a tough game because they're not going to beat Virginia. They're not going to beat Virginia. So they have to make some noise.
I like what you're saying right there. Yeah, they're not going to beat Virginia.
I mean, there's no way to beat Virginia.
They can beat Virginia. The ACC is so beatable right now. The number one team in the ACC right now is Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh is currently losing to Georgia Tech right now as we're recording. And Georgia Tech is the second to worst team. I understand they don't scare you, but Virginia only won by 3 to a 2-12 in conference Notre Dame team. At home.
That's true.
They can easily lose these games. Carolina can get hot in a game, and we look at all the bracketology stuff. Carolina's still in the first 4 out or next 4 out and everything, which makes no sense to me if you have 0 quad 1 wins. But I guess they don't have any quad 4 losses technically. All of it is so stupid. It's just stupid. Yeah. Carolina, when you watch them, they are not a tournament team. They're not. As
a media personality here on the CarterCast, I will not be biased in this. If you look at Carolina's resume, the only reason they're even getting talked about as being in the tournament is because they're North Carolina. It's because what they did last year. It's because of the historical program. Exactly. So the people with doing the brackets are like, man, if they get in, they're going to make another run. Or, man, these TV ratings are going to be a hell of a lot higher if Carolina's in.
Question.
Answer.
Let's say Carolina gets in.
Okay.
How would you feel if they just lose in Dayton in the play-in?
That's fine. Honestly, at this point, because if the rest of the season goes how I think it is and they still get in, they don't deserve to be there.
The thing is, Carolina can they'll beat Duke. They always beat Duke. They'll
definitely, of course.
Carolina doesn't beat Duke. But the thing is, they have 2 chances at really good wins. They play Notre Dame, FSU. If they lose either the Notre Dame or FSU game, clock it, end it, it's over. They have to make a run to the ACC title game for them to even be considered in the tournament. If you lose either of those 2 games, wash, it's over. And you're probably listening to this Wednesday morning. Carolina plays at Notre Dame on Wednesday night. If they lose tomorrow night, it's over.
Every game's basically a must-win. They can maybe afford a loss to UVA, but
they could afford a loss to UVA or Duke, I think. But they have to win one of those. But they could afford a loss to either one of those. And then you got to, no matter what happens, even if they go 4-0 right now, even if they close the season 4-0, they have to win Wednesday at the ACC tournament. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. We saw this happen with Wake Forest last year. Yep. Wake Forest closed the season very well, got some big wins at the end, put themselves in a great spot, and then lose to a freaking 11 or 12 seed Boston College last year and ended their tournament hopes. You have to win that first game no matter what.
I think so too, and man, I hate saying this, but if they lose a couple of these next few games, their best path will have to be winning the ACC tournament, and you just can't put all your stock in that. You just can't.
Yeah, if they go 2-2, it's championship run, and they got to be able to. They have to be able to go against Virginia and Miami and Duke. Got to get as many quad 1 wins on your way, and at best you can lose in the title game, but otherwise you got to win the title.
And this is really just reminiscent of the 2020 year right before COVID canceled everything, where Carolina was awful with that year with Cole Anthony. And everybody was like, man, they won their first ACC tournament game. They're about to make a run and win the whole thing. And then they're getting into the NCAA tournament. They're going to win a couple games. Everybody was just grasping at straws. And then the night before the tournament gets canceled, they get their ass kicked by Syracuse. So it really, it feels like that, where fans are grasping at straws and media guys are like, well, if they just make a run in the ACC tournament, we know they will. No, you don't know that.
So, because that's a great point you bring up. This Carolina season, I don't know how it feels from a Carolina fan's perspective, kind of from the outside looking in. It feels just like the perfect mix of last year and 2020.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, After beating Duke in the Final Four, this is kind of just icing on the cake. No, this year's really felt like last year. I was so tuned in, even when they were losing. I was just so tuned in last year, and then the tournament run, like I was just so in tune. This year, it's just kind of disappointing. Like I tuned in, I watched the games, and I'm just like, man, I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Going over to the other side, Duke here. Duke looks fine. Duke looks fine. They're not doing bad. They're winning the games they should. They should have maybe won. I mean, the Virginia game, like, I'm not going to go on a rant about here because that was so long ago. But the Virginia game, highway robbery, and ACC, like, referees need to be held accountable at some point because I understand if you're a ref and – look, they're going to miss calls. That's fine. I get it. You miss calls. Even at the end of the game, it's like if it's a live call you miss, that's fine. The fact they went to the replay monitor and overturned something they weren't even allowed to overturn and
gave the wrong explanation.
Give wrong explanation, everything.
Yeah.
And also the fact that Virginia's a legal gambling state and Virginia was a 6-point favorite and they covered in overtime 69-62, won by 7. Look, like, I know I don't care if people sports bet. Go for it. That's fun. I like it. The refs there needs to be extensive investigations on the refs' sports betting accounts. Like they should not. They like. I don't care if Calvin Ridley's betting on freaking women's tennis. Like that does not affect anything. When these refs are like, you have to keep them on their toes, man. Like they should be investigated for that. Even if you don't know, like, you know, whenever like DK Metcalf puts up a video of him that's clearly fake and then he gets drug tested, like you kind of have to do that with these refs betting accounts now for how accessible sports betting is. Like they need to be investigated thoroughly and regularly.
The refs got a little square pick there, taking UVA -6 over Duke, huh?
No, Duke +6 a square pick. Duke +6. You see Duke getting 6 points against anybody, you're like, oh my gosh, like that's like the Yankees as an underdog.
Yeah, that's fair. What's Duke gonna do the rest of the year? Are they gonna make any noise in the ACC tournament? What are you expecting?
They will either make noise in one of the tournaments. I think they get hot. I think they're kind of hitting their stride a little bit. It's just so frustrating watching Duke this year because you see it. Like, you see the potential that's there, and for some reason it's just not clicking. It's not all the way there. Like, yeah, they're winning games, they're getting by, but you see the potential in guys like Lively and Whitehead and even Filipowski to some degree, even though he's been good this year. Like, you see the potential in them. It should be a higher level. They should be a 3-4 seed this year with the talent they have.
Imagine how I feel. I've seen the potential of the same damn team from the tournament last year, and I have to watch them go 16-11 and lose to NC State. Oh, my God.
Yeah,
sorry, we don't do back in Carolina.
NC State's the best team in North Carolina.
Okay, that's my next question. ACC tournament time. You had some strong opinions about this before the show. Who are you taking and why?
Oh, I'm taking North Carolina State. There's no debate in my mind. I am taking NC State. I was high on them before the season. I have the receipts. I have the clips that I said the two teams I want in the ACC tournament, I don't want to face if I'm a Duke fan, and that I think are going to win this tournament are Miami and NC State. And I still feel the same way come a week from March. I am 2 weeks away from the tournament. This NC State team is real, man. Like, they are legit. I've been saying it all year. They were picked 12th to win the ACC. And
that was a little ridiculous, yeah.
They are arguably the second best team in this conference, second or third best team. And I'll just get right into it. My college basketball futures, it's not like I love it. I really do love it just because how crazy the odds are. But I'll pull it up real quick. NC State to make the Final Four.
Oh, man.
Is not the most ridiculous thing in the world, considering how bad college basketball is this year.
What is that, plus 25,000?
No. NC State to reach the final. NC State to reach the Final Four is plus 5,500. This team is just built for the tournament. Jarkel Joyner and Traquavion Smith, two-guard combo, always matters in March Madness. Yep. They have a good enough big man at DJ Burns who will get you by, get the rebounds you need. But you need the two guards to set you apart in the tournament. They can get hot. They are so confident right now. If you watch that Carolina game, those dudes are balling.
That's the thing, though.
They in Space Jam when they steal the juice or whatever. Like, that's basically what NC State guards did with Caleb Love and RJ Davis. They took
Yeah.
all their confidence, and it's in NC State's pockets now. And I'm terrified as a Duke fan to go against them in the ACC tournament. We got to play them next week, and I'm not looking forward to that. They're good, man. I don't understand. That's why another thing why I don't understand bracketology is that they're like an 8-9 seed right now. Like an 8-9 seed, that makes no sense. Why are they like talked about the same level as Carolina or whatever? They're the 20th ranked team in the country. They should be a 5-6 seed.
They're not ranked anymore, I don't believe, after that loss to Syracuse. But
they're probably not.
Yeah, they're not.
Carolina,
but the thing with State, let's not act like yes, I get what you're saying. Let's not act like their two guards, Joyner and Terquavion Smith, could come out and shoot 6 for 23 and they get bounced first game.
That could also happen. Like
I don't know. I'm just saying.
That could easily happen, just like Carolina last year. If Caleb Love and RJ Davis come out and shoot 6 for 23 in their first round,
they're gone.
Marquette, they're done.
Maybe not Marquette. They're pretty bad. Maybe Baylor. We'll say Baylor.
Everybody in that path was bad. They were given an easy path.
Oh, please.
In the NCAA tournament. I mean, you get 15 seed St. Peter's in the Elite Eight. Come on, give me a break. But anyhow, they can. But like, if I'm gonna, and that's the other thing about this March Madness is, look, 1 through 10, there's really not a big difference in these teams.
No,
it's who can get hot, who has the best guards, and who has the best coaches. Coaching, I am concerned about with Kevin Keats. I'm not 100. Obviously, I'll never be 100% convinced with Kevin Keats until he really, really shows me something. He's shown us something this year, though. He really has shown us something this year because he was on the hottest of hot seats, and they're balling right now.
Well, if they just had Manny Bates, then they would have been in the tournament last year. The thing with March Madness, though, Carter, we talked about this before. We mentioned it. We're going to see a lot of weird spreads. We're going to see an 11 favored. We're going to see 2-point spreads between all these different seeds.
There will be 1-12. There will be at least 1 to 2 12 seeds that are favored.
And Joe Sixpack's going to go, why is an 11 seed favored? I'm going to take the higher seed and put all my money on it. I'm telling you, this year you really have to dig deep and use your research and really look into some of these games because seeding doesn't matter as much as it has in years past. It just doesn't.
And also, it's such a coin flip. Like it can be square, like whatever. Besides, honestly, like the 2-15 games, they should be fine. The 1-16 games should be fine. The 3-14 games is where you're like, okay, well, like, all these three seed teams could easily lose in the first round.
Yeah,
they go up against a hot team that won like the MEAC.
Because all these 3 seeds are going to have like a couple of those bad losses on the schedule that you're going to look at and be like, wow, what if they do this again?
I was like, why were they close against Coppin State? Like, why?
Yeah, exactly.
So no, it's gonna be an insane tournament. The other thing I want to mention, this is like my favorite one. I love Miami to make the Final Four at plus 1100. 11-1 for Miami. They're the best
strong
team
guard
in the
play.
ACC. I'm watching them right now. Yeah, they're playing at Virginia Tech. They were a dog in this game, and they're kind of handling Virginia Tech right now. I hope that kind of reverse jinxes it a little bit. But then they're also, I think they're 55-1 also to win the national title. No, they're 50-1 now to win the national title.
Yeah.
It's gone down. I love that. I love that. This
they're
team
good,
is
dude.
primed to get hot. Jim Laranaga's been to the Final Four before with George Mason. They're a legit team. Miami, that's my favorite future going into March right now. I would take it right now because I think they'll get hot in the NCAA tournament and make a run, or the ACC tournament and make a run, and then their seeding will get higher. I really think they could end up getting the 2 seed in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, the teams keep losing near the top like they have been. I don't hate that at all. I think Miami's definitely could be argued as the best team in the ACC this year, and I think it could definitely be argued they'll be the ACC team to make the deepest tournament run.
Yeah. We should probably finish up talking about the ACC real quick. Anything else in college basketball?
That's all I got right now, honestly.
Yeah, they have Houston right now as the favorite. No,
absolutely not.
Houston is primed for a second-round upset. It's a Saturday afternoon. Everyone's checking their phones. You're out and about if you're not watching the games like I am. You're out and about, and you're like, oh, my gosh, the 1 seed, my bracket's busted. Joe Schmo with his bracket had Houston in the Final Four.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God, Middle Tennessee State. What the heck?
Yeah, exactly. Some stupid thing like that. But, yeah, man, this college basketball is about to get wild. I'm so excited for conference tournament week. I'm very sad I will not be in attendance in Vegas for the WAC Hoops tournament for my sweet, sweet Utah Valley Wolverines. I'm praying. I'll be watching every game on my phone while I'm in Greensboro. I'm praying they make the tournament because that team can make a second weekend run. I fully believe it. They are primed for March Madness, and I'm so excited to go to Greensboro. I can't wait. I'll be in Greensboro. Get there Wednesday morning. I cannot wait.
You gonna shout obscenities at Jim Boeheim?
I already looked at my tickets. I've already got it scoped out which tickets I have to buy for whenever Syracuse plays. So I'm waiting to find out the seeding when Syracuse ends up. Syracuse kind of has a tough schedule closing out, so I think they'll be at the Wednesday noon game. So I think I should be good to get those tickets sooner rather than later. But, I mean, Syracuse isn't going to change ticket prices. It's a matter of Carolina schools.
Big facts right there, Carter. Big facts. I'm excited. Greensboro's back.
Oh, man, I can't wait to get back there. But thanks for listening. Next week, we're going to do an ACC tournament preview. It'll be a shorter show. It'll be either a tournament preview or a draft. I haven't decided yet. We'll have a guest on for that one. I'm excited for that. Let us know if whatever you want. It's going to be an ACC tournament draft where you pick like one player in history, one game, one coach, and then like one miscellaneous thing. Or we'll just do an ACC tournament preview. But we do have a guest planned for that one next week. That'll probably be posted Monday before the tournament. We'll be back next week, talk a little basketball once we get these games rolling again after the All-Star break. Connor, thanks again for coming on. Make sure to check out cartercast.com. Posted a blog yesterday. That was a great troll blog. Great troll blog.
Of course, yeah. I mean, there's no way Carolina wins any more games this year. I mean, you called it.
I got people in the Reddit all riled up, but every non-Carolina fan loved the blog. So check out cartercast.com. Subscribe to the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.